Well, we set Dublin Comic Jam up in 2008. I met Phil Barrett, and he had just come back from Canada. He'd been living there for a couple of years, and I was just kind of getting started, looking to get more involved in comics. And it was something that he'd done, that he'd kind of done while in Canada, that in Vancouver where they lived, they had a regular jam. The idea being that it's a monthly meetup, there's no pressure, like it gives us an activity to do, the actual jam comics themselves, but it's very much just a kind of social meetup for people. A lot of the time people are making comics, they're sitting alone in their studio or in their bedroom thinking they're the only person, I'm the only person in Ireland doing this. I've come into contact with a couple of other artists, Debbie Jenkinson and Sarah Bowie, who are quite interested right now in encouraging different types of comics work in Dublin and in Ireland. So we've kind of banded together under the idea of Stray Lines. The whole idea behind the name Stray Lines was that we wanted it to kind of suggest people taking other paths, or people, like you have your main, you have like the bulk of the stuff, but like there are these like other paths, these stray lines as such coming off that might suggest other ways of doing things, other ways of approaching work. We've never put anything on it. We've never said this is going to be a project, or this is going to be an exhibition, or this is going to be a book. It's just something that like we know we want, like month in, month out, there'll always be a couple of people in this place for whoever wants to come along. Comics are a very good collaborative medium as well. Like if you find someone who you click with and who's kind of on your wavelength, you can create really, really interesting work.
Like my most recent collab thing was with Tree. She coloured a pitch comic I was doing for the Oni Press submissions, so she did a fantastic job on that.
So it was great working with Anthea because she had to get the foresight to put like the Photoshop file in the fucking thing.
Like if you're like a woman or a girl and you want to do comics and stuff, and you just see kind of all these guys talking about their horror, their fantasy, not their fantasy, their superhero comics, and you're kind of like, I like comics, but I don't want to go into this section of comics. Like, where can I go? It's like, we are out there, us ladies doing the comics, doing the non-superhero stuff. We are out there, and we're like a really nice bunch. We're always very, I try to be open. If I see anyone who wants to do comics and they want to come in and like talk or ask questions or just want to be part of the community, like we're there with open arms to just kind of welcome you in.
I think there is a certain attitude that people give off when they're kind of just passing through. These kinds of people are just tourists, and they just travel through life just visiting, but hey, eventually, like, I think everyone travels around in hobbies and interests until they find something. Yeah, like I think people are entitled to do that, to be able to surf through until they find something that they really like.
Since starting, like I've started going to conventions when they first kind of started, and there's been a massive change since I first started going, and there is a lot of elitism and everything starting to rear its ugly head, and I really don't like it. I don't. This is why I work with the guys with Dublin Comic Con. It's just like we've basically decided everyone's welcome to everything that they want to do, whatever makes them happy. But it's basically made for the fans, that kind of thing.
From my experience of American cons, there are a lot of very, very dedicated fans, and these dedicated fans kind of, because everyone's so much more vocal in America, have taken a point to be almost very elitist about stuff. So they're trying actively to identify the tourists, and it's like, oh well, you're a fake geek person, I bet you've never read Action Comics #1 kind of thing. And you're just like, does it matter? Does it really matter?
We know a lot of costumers over there as well, and it's just, it would be nice to actually go to cons with them and stuff as well. It's just, we miss them a lot. But yeah, we do, we miss them a lot.
Like I was at San Diego Comic Con a couple of weeks ago. I go to the New York one every year. It's so handy because it's near Marvel and you get to meet all your editors and stuff like that. So it's just like a whole other level. Then again, like just the size of them and the amount of people that are there. Like, but it's cool. Like it's very nice as well. Like 'cause the one I was at last year was just when the new Spider-Man book was announced, and they put me there with the writer of the book. And Spider-Man has so many fans anyway. Like, so people, you just get to see like the general excitement that there is about the book. And next New York Comic Con is going to be great because the new Spider-Man book will have just launched, so the first issue will be out. Like, so people will be going mad for it then as well. Like, so it's cool. Like, if I went to the shows in America, like there's very different shows there as well. Like there's New York Comic Con, which has its artist alley, and everyone that's inside there is there to meet the artists because they're like fans of certain artists or whatever. So they'll go along to meet someone there. Whereas there are other shows then that are really based around actors, and like the actors from the Green Arrow show and the Flash show. So 99% of people wouldn't know who you are there. So it depends on the tone of the show, but it's such a small kind of community in Ireland that pretty much everyone knows everybody in there anyway. Like I'd recognise pretty much 90% of the crowd, to be honest with you. Going to the conventions 10 years ago, like there might have been 3 or 4 of us with a portfolio, whereas now you find like 100 people with a portfolio. So that'll tell you straight away the amount of interest that's there. There's so many of them in Ireland now, which is cool as well, because there's so many different areas in comics. Like you said, there's a cosplay convention, there are comic book conventions that are really catered towards the creators. There are comic book conventions that really cater towards, fans of like movie sets and props and costumes and things like that as well. So it's cool to see it growing again. I lived in America for quite a while to really like put myself into like the comic book culture that was in New York, which is where like the home of Marvel, and it was DC at the time as well. So that was specifically why I went there, because I wanted to surround myself with as many artists and writers as I could, and just talk to them and just see how they work and network and stuff as well. And when I got to a certain level, when I didn't really need to network anymore, that's specifically why I took myself out of there and came back to Ballycotton, where I don't have to be in the comic community all the time, because I can get work done. Because the deadlines are crazy. Like I have so many stuff to do every week. You just couldn't. I couldn't have lived in New York and have done that. Like, 'cause there's always kind of somebody knocking on your door then as well. Like, so that's kind of why I did that.